Once again, gentlemen, we were on my retirement area, and finally we were on associations and groupings. And if I can go just a little back before I emphasize on the foundation and the pillars of Mkondo wa Mwisho. I can say we started these immediately after school. Many of us schooled elsewhere, went to schools outside our ancestral areas, in Rift Valley, Western, Nyanza Coast, and we met in Nairobi. And those of us who had come from such far places had much in common. They were not attached to the tribal groupings, and we were proud about that. And therefore, immediately we got employed. A few of us, especially those who came from Rift Valley, and those which we would call sister schools. The high schools and the secondary schools, those days were very few in Rift Valley. And therefore, they all knew one another. And they associated and cooperated in many areas, especially in sports and other activities like dancing and many small competitions that were being held. And therefore, we knew one another. So when we came and met, we organized ourselves. And we had one thing in common. We came from those areas. We were children of squatters from the European places, and we felt that it is us to get our families out of the yoke of the colonialists. And therefore we started grouping ourselves. We found one brook that we called Itenjoro. That was early in 1972. Students who had come from Iten, St. Patrick's Iten, I was one of them, and others from Njoro High School, one or two from Kapsabet, Cheowet, and thereabout. And therefore, we formed a group. We started saving a little, thinking that we would invest together. But later on, it did not work because we were not all committed to it. Luckily or unlikely, due to my advanced age, among those who completed school with me, I always was a victim, because when it came to looking for a leader, almost all of them thought of me as their chairman. And as a chairman, I have to behave in a way that was expected. They respected me because of my age, and therefore I would also respect myself and expect to show them a way to follow. We did not go far, though we saved some money which got lost in the bank. We did not withdraw to share. And therefore we disintegrated in our employment for a while. And it is when our children now started getting to places, those who are being sent abroad, and one will like to organize a Harambee and will be called. There are those who were marrying their children, and they decided to remember their friends and try to look for them wherever they were. One of those occasions was my first son's marriage in 1993. my Comemia. I tried to look for those old friends where they were, and I got a few. I invite them for the wedding. After the wedding, we again disintegrated. And then another of my schoolmates, who was a little more influential than I was, though, he worked with me in the bank, and he stayed in the bank, and he rose over the ranks, and he was senior already in the bank, the Barclays Bank. And therefore, he was more endowed to hold a sizable occasion than I had. In that case, he had a period to organize for the daughter's wedding, and therefore he collected those of us that he could reach, and we formed a committee. We worked together. We had a wonderful wedding. And after that, we decided to go and break the committee. And where we went to break the committee, we asked ourselves whether we shall be always gathering ourselves in such occasions or in burial of our parents. Why can't we be meeting even in jovial moods and social occasions where we are not contributing and we are not strained? And that's when we thought of Mkondo wa Mwisho. The first pillars, I would say, the person whose occasion was, who was working in the bank, later on joined private organization, and he was a CEO of the local branch of the company. We gathered around that, and we formed them Mkondo wa Mwisho. As I said earlier, it was around 1995, during the wedding of a daughter of that colleague, that friend I'm talking about. I think you will excuse me not to mention names. Yes, but he was my schoolmate, older schoolmate, and there was another older schoolmate. So three of us now had a formidable connection. And therefore, despite the fact that others came from different places, not even having touched to our original intention of holding together people who had gone to school in Rift Valley and elsewhere outside Nairobi and Central Province. Now, we made it open, but those were the pillars. And we recruited ourselves. We continued now with that. And that's when we said we'd be meeting monthly, and we continued that way. We had occasions. We would sing, dance, and we used to meet occasionally. Monthly, we are rotating to the individual family who would host us and do the best he could. The rest of the time, if there was an occasion, there was a dance or something, and we would like to go, we informed one another, we went there, and that's all. And eventually we had a program. And in our program, we agreed that we have to go out of Nairobi every year, once every year. And the time that was suggested was March. to my advantage. Now it fell on the year, on the month that hosts my birthday. And therefore, wherever we went on holiday, whether in Kenya or outside, because we went out, most cases we went to Mombasa, we went to Baringo and other places, just for about 3 days or 2 days. Then we come back. And there came a time that we had to go outside. We had once a trip to Egypt, which took us almost 8 days. We had to travel on a liner from Cairo to Port Sudan in Sudan. It took some time, and then I'm coming back again. And we only traveled during the night. And where it dawned, we stopped at the nearest city or town, and we spent the day there touring the area. It really gave us an opening. In Cairo, where we were destined, there was a lot to see. We left Cairo, we went to Dubai, and in Dubai also we had a lot of exploration. Went to the desert, traveled on the sand dunes. I attended dances in the desert performed by the Arabs. We went to Qatar briefly, and it was so exciting, and in fact eye-opening, especially for those who did not have other chance to travel. We entertained and we attracted people from other areas, especially business people who associated with some of us, were brought to us and they were vetted, and once accepted, were tried for 2-3 meetings. If they fitted, they were joined in. If they felt they didn't fit or they would not comply with the regulations, they were left out. Some of them were older than we were, others were younger, but they were far much apart from us as far as social standings were concerned. Some were established business people, some were of a higher academic standings, others were lower but rich. But by God's grace, we continued together. We started disintegrating, not because we did not agree, but started by God's design, started dying. And men died consecutively, about 4 of them. As the original founders started leaving us, and new ones coming, but with no roots, we had already thought of not going to the houses. The newcomers also did not entertain visit to their homes immediately. And therefore, we all agreed that we change from the rotation we had visiting families and including the rest of the families in hosting, but going as members only without the rest of the family to a hotel, an appointed hotel, where we would meet and have a meal together, have a meeting, and then wait and suggest the next meeting and where to be. It became a little dilute, and it was not as firm as it used to be. And as such, people didn't feel the way they used to feel as a family before. They didn't feel missing one another, and they were all attracted to other areas. So when COVID came, it gave us a chance now to wide up. And when we discussed, we said, since in our agreement and in our formation, we had agreed that we are not going to do any business, we are not going to have any profit in our association. It was only merrymaking, making friends, knowing the families, and that's all. So whatever we contributed monthly as we were supposed to, we would keep in an account. And we would use that whenever we met, and whenever we are going out yearly as was planned. And when the amount was well accumulated, we decided to share whatever we thought was over and above what we wanted. So this time around, we thought of now sharing all that there was, and even closing the accounts with an intention of opening another one if the scourge ended, and those who may survive it. Despite the fact that we were to break, we said whoever had an occasion or a reason to gather the others was at liberty too, and we are bound to attend the occasions. To my disadvantage, I happen to have been a common factor. Why? Because I was traditional in the group, and they all knew. I knew traditional songs, traditional programs, the formalities and Kikuyu procedures in marriage, and dowry paying and all these things. And they didn't want to leave me behind. So even after disintegration of the organization, I still was in touch with all of them, because whoever was having something, I had to be called. And I officiated in many of these occasions, before integration and even after integration. And that's how it is to date. There are still a few who are quite in touch, though not physically meeting as it used to be before. That is Mkondo wa Mwisho organization. Thank you. As I said, we were attracted to this, and we decided this because of that occasion. And we reckoned that we had had 2 or 3 more occasions before where you are invited, and after we finished the occasion we were invited for, we resumed normal and did not mind where one went, and did not connect until you met elsewhere. So in this particular case, we said we should not allow ourselves to disintegrate that way, but form an organization that will keep us together whether we have occasions or not. And that's when we formed this. And I said we started with the 3 pillars and then attracted others. In that occasion, which was my friend's occasion for the marriage of his daughter, he had called in other friends we didn't know before, or we had met before but we were not used to, who are interested in this. They also have their friends. And when we thought of starting now an association, we spread the net. And when they came, we had to censor them and see their characters and see if they are acceptable, if they would fit. And that's how it was. Those who fit and accepted went around with us. Those we found as if they were scandalous or they were not to our advantage or to fit in our original need, we did not recruit them. That's how we recruited. Yeah, one of the things is that we actually were very, very particular about the family. So we looked at the family fabric. If the family was well established and was respectable, that was something to be considered. Secondly, if the main person, the principal, was a person of integrity, a person who will not embarrass us, a person who will honor the agreement that is made, a person who will honor the contribution as given, all those. Thirdly, though not so major, a person who is religious, not particular religion, but somebody who had a belief in religion and was in the line of training the family in that line. Those are some of the things. And of course, those who are committed to the education and betterment of their children, which we all joined in when one was in a problem. This was founded by our mother, the grandmother, the icon of the family, who united us since the time she was left in charge of the family after losing the husband. And I was just near the formation, the actual formation, when we had started working and we were forced to be going home once at least every quarter or every half of the year, all of us. And by God's grace, before we lost our mother, we had already established that as a routine, that we had to go home, and she organized that she would have spared enough to host us. We would assist here and there. We would come with our friends. We make merry, we talk, and make the children know one another, not only of the immediate siblings, but of the close relatives. We ate and feast together, and that made us so united. Once, in the near days of her demises, we had established a routine that we will be rotating in each of our homes, since the sons, the 4 sons that were there, were already married and had established homes. And our mother's home was the foundation. So we would go around to all the other places, and the major meeting would be held in her place, where everybody was bound to attend. Although it was not possible for all to attend due to some reasons that could not be avoided. And that's how it is. It did not continue that much after her departure, but all the same, whoever has an occasion, we meet together and do it together. Needless to say, I happen to have taken the role as of an MC in the family. For a reason I don't know. As I said earlier, I hurried to get married as a first son to bring home a wife, though not the firstborn son. That's not the reason why maybe they allowed me to be sometimes a spokesman. But I feel I am a bit more talkative than others. And for their own reason, they chose me to be the master of ceremony in most cases. And a spokesman in their occasions, the wedding arrangements, and even the wedding parties. I think I have really appreciated, and I thank them all for honoring me with that. Our children, our grandchildren, have all become very dear darlings to me. My nieces and nephews call me Uncle Joe. There are children who call me Grandpa, all know me as grandfather who bites the ear, because I am used to teasing them at the early age by biting young. So the young boys, only the boys. So the young boys were used to me biting their ears. And whenever they arrived with their families, with their parents, they have to report to me first. That's why they recorded their arrival, by bringing their ears to be bitten. And they appreciated that. They would look for whoever has not been bitten to come and report to me and be dragged to me to bite their ear, so that they uniformly had their ears bitten, and they were proud of that. As such, they nicknamed me Guka Wamatu, a grandfather who bites the ear. It is actually made me very, very close to them and attached to each one of them. And I'm sure wherever they are, they have no difficulty in referring to me, as most of them passed through that stage of having their ears bitten. We still meet occasionally and when necessary, but we are still bound by that bond that was established by our mother. And we always pray that we never break it, but hand it over to our descendants to continue thereafter. We are, and I would hate to keep on blowing my own horn, but needless to say, I am a point of reference. I keep touch almost to everybody, and I have, I think, my feelers higher than others. I get information of whatever is happening in all the other members related to us, and whatever I hear about, I circulate to the rest of them. So I am an informer, and I'm a link. And by God's grace, I am always in touch with the wider family network.
So in other words, you're like the chairman.
Not as such, but I'm better informed. Some of them call me a library. When you want to know something that you have not, or you have forgotten something, there's somebody you don't remember, or you don't even remember what has happened to so and so. When they refer to me, I trace easier than others. Since I don't lose touch, I'm always connected. It's a big responsibility, I would say, because it does not just come as such, because it's not something to be proud of, but it's something that is in me. I would say inborn and instilled by our departed mother. Our mother was very fond of everybody else, especially those who are less fortunate than us. And she would always ask us to mind about so and so, how is so and so. And not only those who are related to us, even the neighbors around. Whenever she paid the visit to us in Nairobi, and because, as I said earlier, I was more connected to her than other members, due to the fact that I was, in most cases, working shift and I had a lot of free time, she would come and stay in my house, and I would pick her from home, and after she had done whatever, visited the hospital or visited the other siblings in Nairobi, I would also drop her home. When I was dropping her home, she would always ask me to have whatever little I had changed. I have small loose money, because whoever I met around, I had to give something. You find an old person, an old man, and she would tell me, stop, give this person 5 shillings, 10 shillings, anunue tobacco, and that. And whatever she may be given as she is taken home, sugar and whatever, she would organize the local women, and she would give little to those who are not very well endowed, and they knew her as such. And I actually was attracted to that and derived a lot of pressure after giving this to those people. Up to now, even the descendants of those I started giving, I still know them and they know me, and I still command quite a bit of respect whenever they see me. I would not pass anybody on the road, whether it is bad day or not. I would carry. My mother would tell me, let's not leave this behind. And up to date, I give lift to people I find, and they are not afraid to talk to me. I feel that as a real security for me, because I don't fear anybody. They are all friendly. Yes.
You are not afraid of picking someone who's like into witchcraft or giving some money to someone who's going to,
Incidentally, how I would tell you, we got out of that belief as far as witchcraft is concerned, and these superstitions, they are out of our belief today. So whoever is poor is, we say, is only that God has not given what there is from that, and therefore if we can contribute or just try to uplift or maybe make life a little more acceptable or even brighten just that one day, it made a difference. And I came to believe that God makes a note, because there are many miracles I have experienced, performed to me, especially on my health, not because I went to the hospital, but because God has decided to perform a miracle, maybe because of a small deed I did to one of those small ones here and there, and God appreciated. Not much. Since retirement, I would not say I have tried any other business, and because whatever little I may have done was maybe is only for activity or as a hobby, but not a business. Right now, I'm keeping a few poultry back home in the ancestral land, not for commercial purpose, but because none of us siblings live there, and I feel I'm duty bound to make that place always remain alive. So it forces me to go very often. We have representatives, the workers, and this forces me to go. I have to check the feeds, I have to go and find out what's happening. I have to carry the eggs I bring to town, like the eggs we are eating are from the home. And all this is not because I want to make money from that, but it forces me to go home, just to keep in touch. And that's why, as I said earlier, I'm not a stranger to the villagers and all those around, because we interact now and again in my trips back home. And I came to know when there is an occasion. Somebody has died, I have to be informed. Somebody is sick and there is contribution, I have to be informed. there is somebody wedding, there's a contribution in the church and this and that, and I have to be informed. And without bragging, I have been involved so much in a local church. We have a local church that had a plot donated by my great, by great I mean prominent uncle, who first took me to school and who introduced me to Catholicism. He died, and he had donated land, and a church was started. And I became a member of those who started building. Though I have never lived there, I have been visiting. And to date, most of the people there have respected me and have asked me to be a patron to the church. They refer me as the patron to that church. And due to that, I have to keep informed of whatever is going on, and I have to be involved. So I have not lost touch in the affairs of the entire area. I feel happy because that makes me feel that I am representing my mother, who was equally keeping that touch to everybody within the locality. Well, I hesitate to say because I never expected to live to this life. Many a times since I lost my father, I have almost given up. Those old days, our mom always told us to stand firm, that no matter how dry it becomes, it will thrive. And God has a day. No day will have no night, and no night will have no day. He gave us an example of the fields. During the hot season, the fields are dry and dusty. During the rain season, they start grooming and you find the grass. Where it comes from, you don't know. You don't see even the seeds during the dry season. But God does all this. Said, do not give up. God has a destiny for you. Doesn't matter how hard it has been, how difficult thing has been for you. God has something for you. He also emphasized on unity of the family, and especially of the close family. He gave us a saying in Kikuyu which says, you cannot kill a louse with one finger or thumb. You have to press two to kill a louse. You cannot clap with one hand, no matter how big it is. You have to bring two hearts together to clap. At the same time, he used the same in solving a problem or disagreement. If anybody wrongs you, assaults you, don't pay back. Don't hit back. Don't just let people know that you also continue. You can also do the same, or you can fight for yourself. just say thank you and walk away. You will be more victorious than he who fought back. Whoever was assaulting you, may be to embarrass you, humiliate you, or even ridicule you before the others, will eventually stand a loser and feel embarrassed. And therefore, she used the same, that one hand cannot clap. So when one assaults you, that's one hand. When you bring yours to try and answer back, you are inviting the clap. Don't allow your heart to come in such circumstances. And in that case, there will be no clapping. Clapping will be fighting and other results that will be disastrous to either you or both of you, or even to those onlookers. And it will be scandalous to those who may be looking at you and may be trying to emulate you. So learn to be tolerant and learn to forgive.